The day Juliet said yes to Dr. Johnson, the whole of Enugu seemed to stop breathing. It wasn't just because he was a doctor. Many men were doctors. It wasn't even because he owned one of the biggest hospitals in the city. It was because of him. Johnson was the kind of man who turned heads the moment he entered a room. His tall frame, smooth voice, and quiet smile carried a strange power. Women wanted him. Men wanted to be him. Juliet was only a simple schoolteacher. Every morning she stood before her pupils with chalk in hand, her neat dresses smelling faintly of chalk dust and soap. She never imagined someone like Johnson would notice her. But he did. He not only noticed her, he chased her with a fire that made her heart beat faster. Flowers arrived at her school, surprising her in front of teachers and students. Expensive gifts appeared at her doorstep. He took her to restaurants she never dreamed of entering. His love felt too good, almost like a dream. Their wedding was grand. The church overflowed with guests, some she didn't even know. Politicians, business tycoons, society women in shiny wrappers all came to see the lucky woman who had captured the famous doctor's heart. Juliet's friends whispered in her ear, "You are blessed. Pray to God you don't wake up." At first, Juliet believed them. Married life was sweet. Their mansion in a quiet estate looked like something from a movie. The hedges were neatly cut, the walls stood high, and inside was silence that wrapped around her like velvet. Johnson never raised his voice. He never complained. He never even snored at night. But as the days turned into weeks, Juliet began to notice something odd. Something small at first, but strange enough to grow in her mind like a shadow. Her husband never bathed with her, not even once. Juliet first noticed it during their honeymoon. They were in a beautiful hotel in Abuja, with white sheets, scented candles, and soft music in the background. After a long day of sightseeing, she had laughed and said, "Dr. Johnson, won't you bathe with me? Or are you hiding tribal marks somewhere?" She expected him to laugh and join her, but instead he only smiled quietly, kissed her forehead and said, "Go on, I'll join you later." When she came out of the bathroom, her skin still dripping, she heard the sound of water from the locked bathroom door. At first, she didn't care. Everyone has private habits, she thought. Maybe he was shy. But when they returned to Enugu and moved into their mansion, the habit continued. Every single night, around 2 a.m., she heard water running. Sometimes it lasted 30 minutes, sometimes it lasted 2 hours. Always at the same time. Juliet's curiosity grew. One night, she could not hold herself anymore. She slipped out of bed and tiptoed to the bathroom door. Her bare feet touched the cold tiles, her nightdress brushing against her ankles. She pressed her ear to the door. The sound inside was strange. Yes, it was water, but it was not the light splashing of a shower. It was heavier, thicker, almost like something thick was being stirred. She frowned and whispered softly, "Johnson." The water stopped. Her heart jumped. She waited, holding her breath. Then she heard his voice, calm and flat, from inside. "Go back to bed, Juliet." Her blood ran cold. Slowly she returned to the bedroom, her hands shaking. When she lay down again, she could not sleep. The next morning, Johnson acted like nothing had happened. He prepared her breakfast, toast, eggs, and tea, and kissed her cheek before leaving for work. His smile was the same, his eyes calm. But Juliet knew something was wrong. Very wrong. One hot afternoon, when Johnson was at the hospital, Juliet decided to help the maid sweep the compound. The sun was blazing, and the scent of hibiscus flowers floated in the quiet estate air. As she moved past the side of the house, something caught her attention. The drainage pipe that connected to their master bathroom wall was dark. A thick reddish-brown stain clung to it. Flies buzzed around it noisily, and a sharp, sour smell filled the air. Juliet frowned and bent closer. At first, she thought it was rust from the pipe, but when she poked it with a stick, the smear looked like dried paint. It was sticky. Too sticky. And the smell? Metallic, heavy, like iron. Her stomach twisted. It smelled just like blood. "Madam Juliet?" the maid called from behind, making her jump. "What is it?" Juliet pointed. "This pipe. Why does it smell like this? It looks like blood." The maid barely glanced at it. "Ah, no, madam. It's just dirty water. Sometimes the pipes here bring out strange colors." She turned away quickly, sweeping harder, but Juliet noticed something in her voice. Fear. That evening, when Johnson returned, Juliet tried to open the bathroom again, locked as always. She searched the drawers, shelves, and cupboards for any spare keys. Nothing. She even tried sliding a hairpin into the keyhole. It didn't move. Frustrated, she walked into her own guest bathroom to cool down. As she looked into the mirror, something strange struck her. She tapped it lightly with her knuckle. Knock, knock. The sound was hollow. Her breath caught. She tapped harder, hollow again, like there was a hidden space behind it. Juliet stepped back slowly, her heart pounding. For the first time since her wedding, she felt true fear. That night, Johnson came home quieter than usual. He did not greet her with his usual kiss on the cheek. He did not ask about her day. He sat at the dinner table, eating slowly, his face unreadable. Juliet tried to break the silence. Did something happen at work today? He looked up slowly. His smile was stiff, forced. Work is work. After dinner, Juliet went into the bedroom to fold clothes. The room was quiet. She hummed softly, trying to push away the fear in her chest. Then she felt it. A presence. She turned, and Johnson was standing at the doorway, silently watching her. Her hands froze in mid-air, clutching a folded blouse. His voice was calm, but the calm was colder than anger. "Were you near the bathroom today?" Juliet's throat went dry. She forced a laugh. "I was just cleaning the house." "I didn't." Johnson stepped closer, his eyes darker than she had ever seen. "Next time you go near that room without me," he said slowly, "I won't be so kind. I told you, use the other bathroom." Her knees shook. "Johnson, you're scaring me." Suddenly, his face softened. He blinked, then smiled like nothing had happened. "I didn't mean to scare you. Just respect my privacy, okay?" He kissed her forehead gently. "Good night, love." Juliet stood frozen, her heart beating fast. Privacy. From a husband to his wife. What kind of privacy needed blood-stained pipes and locked doors? Juliet could not sleep that night. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her ears sharp. She waited. At exactly 2:03 a.m., it began. The sound of water running, heavy splashing, thicker than normal. Her chest rose and fell as she slipped out of bed and tiptoed toward the bathroom. Her feet moved slowly across the cold tiles. Her nightdress brushed against her legs. The closer she came, the stronger the smell became. Metallic, sharp. Then she saw it. The bathroom door was slightly open. A thin line of candlelight shone from inside. Her hand shook as she pushed gently. The door creaked open. Her eyes adjusted to the dim light. What she saw made her heart stop. Johnson sat in the bathtub, but it was not water inside. It was blood. Thick, dark, steaming blood. Red candle flames flickered around him, strange carvings covering the walls. His head leaned back, his eyes half closed in something like pleasure. Juliet gasped. His head snapped toward her with unnatural speed. His eyes glowed faintly, and his voice thundered, not fully human. "You saw." She stumbled back, panic filling her. The world spun. Her head hit the doorframe with a sharp crack. Darkness swallowed her. Juliet woke up on her bed. Her head throbbed painfully, and her throat was dry. She blinked, confused, before she saw Johnson sitting quietly beside her. "You fainted," he said softly. His voice was calm, his face gentle, as if nothing had happened. "Don't worry yourself. Just rest." His hand reached to touch her forehead. She flinched without meaning to. His eyes narrowed for a second, then softened again. Juliet wanted to scream, to ask him what she had seen, but her lips would not move. The image of him bathing in blood burned in her mind. Was it real, or a nightmare? She shook her head slightly. She knew what she saw. "Sometimes curiosity is dangerous, Juliet," Johnson said, his tone quiet but heavy. "Respect my privacy." He leaned forward, kissed her forehead, and left the room. Juliet sat up slowly, her hands trembling. The fear in her chest was like fire. She could not unsee it. She could not unhear it. That day she made a decision. She would find out the truth, no matter how dangerous it was. Because the man she had married was no longer just her husband. He was something else, something dark. Juliet could not rest until she found the truth. The memory of Johnson sitting in blood haunted her every second. She avoided him as much as she could, pretending to smile while her heart burned with fear. But in her mind, one thing kept calling her: the hollow sound behind her bathroom mirror. One afternoon, while Johnson was at the hospital, Juliet locked the bedroom door and stood before the mirror. Her hands trembled as she pressed around its edges. Suddenly, she felt a small shift. The mirror moved slightly. She pushed harder, and with a soft click, it opened like a hidden door. Juliet's heart pounded as she squeezed into the narrow space. It smelled damp, metallic, and old. She switched on her phone's torchlight and followed the dark passage. The tunnel was narrow, leading her straight to a small hidden room behind Johnson's locked bathroom. What she saw made her knees weak. Jars filled with dark liquid lined the shelves. Strange symbols were painted on the walls in red. Old, torn clothes, women's clothes, lay piled in one corner, stained and stiff. On a small table sat a leather-bound diary. She picked it up with shaking hands and flipped it open. The words inside chilled her blood. They spoke of rituals, power drawn from sacrifice, the need to bathe in blood to preserve life and strength. On the last page, one line made her almost drop the book. Juliet is perfect. She must never find out. If she does, she will join the others. Her breath came fast. She stumbled backward, her torch shaking. Then, footsteps. Someone was walking through the house. Juliet quickly shut the diary and pushed the mirror back into place. By the time Johnson's voice echoed, "Juliet, where are you?" She was already sitting in the living room, pretending to read. Her heart beat like a drum. From that day, Juliet knew her life was in danger. She tried to act normal, but every time Johnson touched her, her skin crawled. At night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of water splashing from the forbidden bathroom. She needed to leave. But how? Slowly, she began to prepare. She gathered small amounts of cash and hid them inside her clothes. She called her brother secretly, telling him to come visit soon, though she didn't explain why. Her plan was simple. The moment she got a chance, she would run. But Johnson was too smart, too watchful. One evening at dinner, his eyes lingered on her longer than usual. "You are restless, Juliet," he said softly, sipping palm wine. "Are you planning something?" Her spoon froze in mid-air. She forced a smile. "No, just tired from school." Johnson's eyes narrowed slightly before he smiled again. "Good. Because you know I can never let you leave me." His words sounded like a joke, but Juliet felt the warning in them. The next day, she returned to the hidden room to take the diary as proof. But when she reached the shelf where she had left it, her heart stopped. The diary was gone. She staggered back, her breath shallow. Only one explanation made sense. Johnson knew she had been there. Her time was almost up. Midnight came and Juliet made her move. Johnson was sleeping soundly beside her, his chest rising and falling in rhythm. She packed a small bag silently, her hands shaking. Her heart thundered as she tiptoed out of the room. The mansion was quiet. Only the chirping of crickets outside filled the night air. She reached the gate and slid it open slowly. Freedom was just a few steps away. Then a voice cut through the darkness. "Going somewhere, Juliet?" She froze. Slowly she turned. Johnson stood behind her, tall, calm, and terrifying. His eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. His smile was cold. "You saw what you shouldn't have seen. You read what you shouldn't have read. And now you want to leave me." His voice was soft, almost gentle, but it sent chills through her. "Johnson, please," Juliet whispered, her voice shaking. "I love you. But I can't." He raised a finger, silencing her. "Love is sacrifice, Juliet. Tonight, you will prove yours." He stepped closer. Panic surged through Juliet. Without thinking, she swung her bag at him with all her strength and bolted through the open gate. "Juliet," his voice roared, not human anymore, echoing through the estate like thunder. But she didn't stop. She ran, barefoot, her legs burning, her lungs screaming for air. Headlights suddenly blinded her. A car screeched to a stop. "Juliet," a familiar voice shouted. It was her brother. She collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. He held her tight, confused but protective. Juliet was safe, for now. But deep in her heart, she knew Johnson would come for her. He was powerful, dangerous, and their story was far from over. Juliet's discovery marked the beginning of a dangerous journey. What looked like a perfect marriage was only a mask, hiding secrets darker than she could ever imagine. This story reminds us that appearances can deceive, and that love without truth is nothing but a trap. We must always trust our instincts, because sometimes the small things we ignore can save our lives. But Juliet's story is far from over. The blood in the bathtub was only the first revelation. The deeper truth and the terrifying answers she seeks are yet to come. Don't miss the next episode of this thrilling tale. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to Magical African Tales so you never miss what happens next.